Now let's see if I can get through the remainder of the chapters in Ezekiel concerning Egypt. The Lord gives quite a bit of space, 3 or 4 chapters in the book of Ezekiel alone regarding Egypt, because as I've said, Egypt is going to play a major role at the end of this age and bringing in the last 42 months or so of this age. So Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 2, for the day is near, even the day of the Lord is near. This prophecy then towards Egypt is around the time of the day of the Lord. And that is very, very close proximity, the last 3 or 4 years of the end of this age. The day of the Lord is probably just the last year before Jesus Christ returns, approximately. So this prophecy is pinpointed here as being around in the very same area, shall we say, the very same time as the day of the Lord. It's a cloudy day, and it shall be the time of the heathen. And the sword shall come upon Egypt, and great pain shall be in Ethiopia. I've got to go to Daniel 11 yet and show you the prophecy there, but that will be another video. When the slain shall fall in Egypt, in verse 4, down to verse 6, thus says the Lord, they also that uphold Egypt shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down. From the tower of Seneh shall they fall in it by the sword, says the Lord God. And they shall be desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate. There's going to be a lot of desolation in the last 42 months of this age. And Egypt is going to be one of those countries desolated. And her cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are wasted. Yes, great desolation upon many nations and upon many, many cities in the last 42 months of this age. And all the book of Revelation to be fulfilled. Verse 8, and they shall know that I am the Lord, when I have set a fire in Egypt, and when all her helpers shall be destroyed. So those that are with her as well will be destroyed. In that day, verse 9, shall messengers go forth from me in ships to make the careless Ethiopians afraid, and great pain shall come upon them, as in the day of Egypt, for lo, it does come. Thus says the Lord God, I will also make the multitude of Egypt to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, by the hand of the leader of the Babylon of the end time, the Babylon of Revelation 17 and 18. Egypt is going to be destroyed by that power. Verse 11, he and his people with him, the terrible of the nations, shall be brought to destroy the land, the terrible of the nations. Now you think, in the 20th century, who would you think is the terrible of the nations that has brought more heartache, death, suffering on the world? Which nation do you think? Yeah, no, you're going to be wrong if you think it's Russia. Russia might have brought a lot of turbulence within itself. You're going to be wrong if you think it's Japan. You just think of the First and Second World Wars and who was the head spear, who was the head archer to bring along, indeed, destruction, the terrible of the nations. Verse 12, and I will make the rivers dry and sell the land into the hand of the wicked, and I will make the land waste and all that is therein by the hand of strangers. I, the Lord, have spoken it. Thus says the Lord God, I will also destroy the idols, and I will cause their images to cease out of Nope. And there shall be no more prince in the land of Egypt, and I will put fear in the land of Egypt. And I will make the pharaohs desolate, and I will set fire in Zoan, and will execute judgment in No. And I will pour my fury upon Sin and the strength of Egypt, and I will cut off the multitude of No. Over to verse 19. Thus I will execute judgment in Egypt, and they shall know that I am the Lord. And they will know it at that time. At the end time, people are really going to know who the Lord is. Verse 22. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and I will break his arms, the strong, and that which was broken, and I will cause the sword to fall out of his hand. And I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and will disperse them among the countries. That is going to take place, my friends, at the end of this age. Verse 24, and I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, and put my sword in his hand. But I will break Pharaoh's arms, and he shall groan before him with the groaning of a deadly wounded man. But I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, the modern end-time Babylon, and the arms of Pharaoh shall fall down, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I shall put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall stretch it out upon the land of Egypt. And I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and disperse them among the countries, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Verse 31. Chapter 31, verse 2. Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, those that might be with him. Who are you like in your greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud, and of a high stature, and his top was among the thick boughs. Well, Egypt is going to be like that. It's going to get very powerful at the end time. It is known in the book of Daniel in chapter 11 as the king of the south. And it will have a confederacy of other nations with it. And it will become proud. And it will become stout in stature and think itself something great like the Assyrian people did. Verse 10. Therefore thus says the Lord God, because you have lifted up yourself in height, and you have shot up his top among the thick boughs, right? You've just gone up to the height of the tree there and the top of it, and his heart is lifted up in his height. Yes, he's going to get very proud and very stout and very high-minded. Verse 18, to whom art you thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shall you be brought down with the trees of Eden into the nether part of the earth. You shall lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude that are with him, says the Lord God. Very graphic prophecy here towards Egypt. Verse 32, chapter 32, verse 2. Son of man, take up a lamentation to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Down to verse 3. Thus says the Lord God, I will therefore spread out my net over you with a company of many people. Yes, the modern Babylon will be made up of many nations of Europe that will form together the Babylonian power of Revelation 17:18, the seventh and last resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire. Indeed, many company of many people, and they shall bring you up in my net. They shall deal with you, Egypt, is what God is saying. Verse 7, and when I shall put you out, I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. These are the heavenly signs that are going to take place in the last 42 months of this age. The prophecy is timed for us. The prophecy is given for us at the time when the great heavenly signs are going to take place during the last 42 months of this age. Verse 8, all the bright lights of the heaven will I make dark over you, and set darkness upon your land, says the Lord. I will also vex the hearts of many people, when I shall bring your destruction among the nations into the countries which you have not known, because they're going to be scattered. Yes, verse 10, I will make many people amazed at you, and their kings shall be horrified, afraid because of you, when I shall brandish my sword before them, and they shall tremble at every moment, every man for his own life, in the day of your fall. Verse 11, for thus says the Lord God, the sword of the king of Babylon shall come upon you. By the swords of the mighty will I cause your multitude to fall. The terrible of the nations, all of them, and they shall spoil the pomp of Egypt, and all the multitude thereof shall be destroyed. We go down to verse 18, Son of man, wail for the multitude of Egypt, and cast them down, even her and the daughters of the famous nations, unto the nether parts of the earth, with them that go down into the pit, into the grave. Verse 22, Ashur is there and all her company, yes, the people of Germany and the modern last Holy Roman Empire, Babylon of Revelation, will be headed by the German people. Ashur is there and all her company. His graves are about him, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, whose graves are set up in the sides of the pit, and her company is round about her graves, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, which caused terror in the land of the living. Eventually, this end time Babylon, this end time Roman Empire will fall, and it will be destroyed. Verse 26, there is Meshech and Tubal. Yes, some of the people indeed of Russia area, and all her multitude, her graves are round about, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they caused their terror in the land of the living. Yes, some of the eastern powers at the end will be dealt with as well. God will deal with them and punish them accordingly. Verse 28, yes, you shall be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and shall lie with them that are slain with the sword. There is Edom, that's Turkey, her kingdom and all her princes, with which their might are laid by them that were slain by the sword. They shall lie with the uncircumcised, and with them that go down into the pit. There be the princes of the north, all of them, and all the Zidonians which are gone down with the slain. With their terror they are ashamed of their might, and they lie uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword, and bear their shame with them that go down into the pit or the grave. Pharaoh shall see them, and shall be comforted over his multitude. Well, I'm not by myself, they're going to say. I guess others are getting slaughtered and punished here as well, so, maybe I'm just not too badly off, seeing as all these others are getting slaughtered and slain and punished. Pharaoh shall see them and shall be comforted over all his multitude, even Pharaoh and his armies slain by the sword, says the Lord God. For I have caused my terror in the land of the living, and he shall be laid in the midst of the uncircumcised, with them that are slain with the sword, even Pharaoh and all his multitude, says the Lord. It is coming, the punishment upon Egypt and upon many other nations of the world during the last 42 months of this age is surely going to take place.